do you think have been your toughest challenges in the music industry? Like when we're looking at now what's coming out in the Me Too movement, with respects to, let's say, Harvey Weinstein, and the things he demanded of actresses to be in these movies. Mm-hmm. Is it any different in the music industry? Is it worse? It feels like it could be worse. That's why I'm asking.
I mean, as a child, I was a huge Ashanti fan. Like, she was one of my favorite singers. I literally have a vivid memory of 2002 and Ashanti coming out with her first single, Happy. And that thumb dance that she does in the video? I literally remember myself being in the mirror in my cousin's house being like, I'm so happy, baby. Like, I was feeling myself. Like, Ashanti was that girl. I grew up always wondering, whatever happened to Ashanti, and just thinking that, oh my God, Ashanti fell off and Ashanti disappeared, but that was not, in fact, the case. She didn't, in fact, disappear. Her career was actively sabotaged by controlling, manipulative men. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here for a minute, I love you so much for coming back. So today's video was actually inspired by a tweet that I wrote. I think it's been about a month ago since I originally wrote the tweet, and it went semi-viral on a very micro level, I'll say. And I made that tweet after I saw Ashanti's sit-down interview with Angie Martinez. And in that tweet I wrote, Ashanti was essentially blacklisted by Irv Gotti after deciding that she no longer wanted to continue their sexual relationship. Makes me think how many other female artists who suddenly disappeared were completely shut out of the industry by controlling, manipulative men. So in today's video, we're going to talk about some of those controlling, manipulative men that kind of put a halt to Ashanti's career. I mean, as a child, I was a huge Ashanti fan. Like, she was one of my favorite singers. I literally have a vivid memory of 2002 and Ashanti coming out with her first single, Happy. And that thumb dance that she does in the video? I literally remember myself being in the mirror in my cousin's house being like, I'm so happy, baby. Like, I was feeling myself. Like, Ashanti was that girl. If you're a millennial, you know. If you're a Black woman and a millennial, you really know that Ashanti was that girl. Like, I always like to refer to her as the Rihanna of our generation, Not that Rihanna wasn't of our generation, but she came a little bit later on after Ashanti. But yeah, today I want to discuss a little bit about Ashanti and her career and how I grew up always wondering, whatever happened to Ashanti, and just thinking that, oh my God, Ashanti fell off and Ashanti disappeared, but that was not, in fact, the case. She didn't, in fact, disappear. Her career was actively sabotaged by controlling, manipulative men. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you really like it by the end, definitely hit that subscribe button. So without further ado, let's get into today's video and talk a little bit about how Ashanti's career was sabotaged. So for those of you guys who either weren't around, because I know so many of you are young, you guys weren't even born for the height of her career, or those of you who just maybe are a little bit older and you weren't really paying attention to the young up-and-coming artists at the time, really quickly want to go over who Ashanti is. So Ashanti is a singer-songwriter and actress who rose to fame in the early 2000s. Dubbed as the princess of hip-hop and R&B, she rose to the top of the charts with hits like Happy, Foolish, Baby, Only You, and so many more. As I said earlier, if you grew up in the 2000s, you know that Ashanti was that girl, honey. She was that girl. Now, throughout the 2000s, she dominated both the R&B and mainstream pop airwaves until she suddenly disappeared from the scene. And that disappearance, once again, wasn't just Ashanti deciding that she no longer wanted to pursue music. The reason for that disappearance is that Ashanti was actively being sabotaged, undermined, and ultimately her career suffered from it. Throughout the mid-2000s, rapper 50 Cent was embroiled in an infamous rap beef with Ashanti's Murder Inc. record label mate and frequent collaborator Ja Rule. During their feud, 50 Cent often bullied Ashanti with misogynistic and derogatory insults. If you were there, you know all about this. 50 Cent and his associates, like rapper Lloyd Banks, who was 1/3 of a trio alongside 50 Cent, and what was the other gentleman's name? I don't even care, irrelevant. But 50 Cent and his associates would often make fun of Ashanti's appearance appearance and call her hairy and just make fun of her sideburns, all the things. In Lloyd Banks' song, What Goes Around, which dropped in 2003, he rapped, "I'm in the hood 'cause I'm hood. You in the hood 'cause you ain't got no choice. Your top seller getting sticked for his shine. Either I'm blind or Ashanti's sideburns is thicker than mine." A regular old Edgar Allan Poe, wouldn't you say? Like, what a way with words this man had. But yeah, if you grew up in the 2000s, I don't know if memes were a thing back then. I don't think that we had that language to necessarily call it that, but I just remember the constant memes, the memification of Ashanti and zooming in on her sideburns and her arms and all the things. And just, I remember that trope, you know, of misogynoir, which again, I've said it before on my channel, but if you're not familiar, misogynoir specifically refers to the discrimination or the misogyny that is directed specifically towards Black women. I just vividly remember that time of 50 Cent and Ja Rule's beef and how Ashanti kind of got stuck in the middle of that and became collateral damage.
Once the hate was coming in and everyone saw the beef with 50, it was like, everyone, you know, people become fickle and they start swapping sides. So regardless of how fire a record may be, if the fans are not into you at the moment, they're not gonna buy into your brand, they're not gonna buy into your music.
You was like, yo, I'm a female, by the way, too. Like, so
Say that one more
I
time.
never understood females being like collateral damage or being in the middle of a beef. Like, I felt like a female's a female. You know, it is what it is. Like,
Exactly.
I've seen girls that are wives or like down with dudes I had beef with, and I never disrespected. Like, I always was like, actually even more respectful.
Only weak dudes do that. You know what I'm saying?
Who hasn't 50 Cent had beef with? That's the actual question. He's had beef with his son, his baby's mother's girlfriend, so many other Black women that he has made fun of, like Notori Naughton from 3LW, and I think he was making fun of Megan Thee Stallion as well. It's been, what, 20 years or more since these events have transpired, and he's still up to the same tricks. And in 2018, 50 Cent also teased Ashanti and was actively bullying her online about her concert that got canceled. Now, Ashanti did say that Nelly apparently forced 50 Cent to apologize to her for all of the horrible things that he'd been saying about her. I think that was like backstage at the VMAs or something like that. But my whole thing is, you spent so much time bullying this lady in public. An apology in private is just not gonna cut it. Did any of you know that he ever apologized to Ashanti? That's not common knowledge. But you knew how he went in on her in the 2000s. If you were there, you had to be there. But you knew, you remember how awful it was for Ashanti. But yet, I'm just really big on when you embarrass, when you malign somebody in public, the apology has to be public as well. Music mogul Irv Gotti, who was the head of the Murder Inc. record label that Ashanti was signed to, bragged about his relationship with Ashanti in a recent BET documentary that chronicled the history of Murder Inc. And in it, he said the following.
Ladies, juicy sweats, my ass was looking fat. Her ass was looking great. So one day, I was like, yo, I'll take you home. She said, bet, cool. I walk her to a front door of her crib. She turns to say goodbye. And I just kiss her and grab her ass and just mwah.
I find it so disgusting how Irv Gotti has the unmitigated gall to sit up on this documentary gloating like he's proud of himself. His own employee, in addition to the age gap dynamic, obviously we know there's a power dynamic in the fact that he is the head of the label and she is this young and up and coming artist. When your employer is literally making a move on you unprovoked, like, I don't need to say the words, but I'm sure you guys are thinking it, so I don't even need to say it, but just the power dynamics at play. And so many people would be like, oh, she was grown, she didn't have to do that. But it's like, if that's your boss and you are trying to like earn a living and make money, women make decisions. Women make decisions in normal jobs. It doesn't just have to be in the music industry, where women have had their bosses make advances on them and don't know how to advocate for themselves. Maybe at the time they feel flattered by it. Maybe at the time they feel like, oh my God, he likes me. I'm special. I'm mature. I'm this, I'm that. But then you grow older and you look at it and you're like, oh, I was actually being taken advantage of. And I'm not going to speak for Ashanti. I mean, she pretty much said that as well in her interview with Angie Martinez, but that was pretty much what was happening. And it's just so disgusting to me that in this day and age, like post Me Too, post Time's Up, all the movements that have happened when we are talking about dynamics like this man has no clue. He don't care. He's like, I'm going to sit up here and gloat about how I basically took advantage of my employee who was significantly younger than me at the time. We love to see it. Now, in an interview with Angie Martinez, Ashanti went on to talk about her relationship with Irv Gotti and why she ultimately disappeared from the industry, and how when she decided that she no longer wanted to have a sexual relationship with him, he ultimately retaliated against her, and he was just blocking producers from working with her, blocking, I think she mentioned a makeup artist as well. Ashanti would go on to like meet with these producers like years later, and you know, and different collaborators, and the collaborators would be like, yeah, I was dying to work with you and I wanted to work with you all these years, but Irv was blocking it. He was like, no, don't talk to Ashanti, don't associate with Ashanti. And yeah, and Ashanti at that point was learning that, oh, this man is actively sabotaging me.
How did it affect your career?
I mean, Irv got into a dark place. Like, he was blocking a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, Irv was like telling DJs don't play the record. You know what I'm saying? Like,
wow.
Again, we already
He never
spoke.
called me and said that to me. Just full disclosure. But that's something you know he did factual.
Mm-hmm. And
okay.
Again, we already spoke about him not allowing me to come to the studio. You know, he was just telling people don't work with me.
In a recent interview with The Breakfast Club, Ashanti discussed being asked to shower with a record producer in exchange for her music.
One producer, like, we did 2 records together. He was like, okay, I'm not gonna charge you. You know, you my homie, whatever. And then when it came time to put on the album, he was like, well, let's take a shower together. What?
Well,
and I thought he was joking. Together. Like, I thought he was joking. And then he's like, nah, I'm dead serious. Like, let's go out and let's take a shower together and I'll give you the records. If not, I need 40 racks per record.
Jesus Christ.
This wasn't the first time that Ashanti revealed this story either. Actually, the first time that she told this story was on Maria Menounos' radio show on Sirius XM. That was about 4 years ago when she initially made these claims.
What do you think have been your toughest challenges in the music industry? Like, when we're looking at now what's coming out in the Me Too movement, with respects to, let's say, Harvey Weinstein, and the things he demanded of actresses to be in these movies. Mm-hmm. Is it any different in the music industry? Is it worse? It feels like it could be worse. That's why I'm asking.
What I will say is that, unfortunately, these things definitely happen. I've come across a situation where there was a certain producer that, he had his little crush or whatever, but it wasn't anything new, and going into the session and recording, it was all good. And once I said no, all of a sudden the track became 45,000. And I'm like, what? And it's funny because he said something like, well, just take a shower with me and let me do this. Does it happen? It does. And it's unfortunate, and I feel like this, the Me Too, it's like, it's encouraging women to be able to say, no, I don't want to do this. Don't put me in this position. You know what I mean?
And I shouldn't have to share my talents with the world. Why are
Absolutely.
you not having to do this?
Absolutely.
A lot of people might say, yeah, no, Ashanti fell off because her music isn't good anymore or whatever the case may be. I'm like, but who gets to have the good music these days? Like, these pop songs, these pop hits literally take a whole village of people writing it. Like, you have 15, 20 writers on one song in this day and age, which I don't agree with, but that is how music is made these days. You know, you have a whole team of writers, you have a whole team of producers, you have a whole team of engineers, you have a whole team of, you know, A&R executives and all the people and the marketing machine behind you to make you be successful. And when you're actively being blackballed by someone because you're refusing their sexual advances, it's gonna affect your career. When those producers and A&R execs and, you know, makeup artists and marketing personnel no longer want to work with you because the head of the company is saying don't associate with her or you're going to be retaliated against. I mean, what more do you need to say? So yeah, maybe the songs aren't hitting the way that they used to. Like, they're not, because she doesn't get to have the machine and the team behind her that so many other mainstream artists are afforded of. Let me know if you're interested in part 2 or a series where I do a deep dive into other female artists who suddenly disappeared from the music industry due to them not wanting to take off all their clothes and sleep with producers and do all that stuff. But yeah, let me know what you think of this video. If you enjoyed it, then again, definitely give it a thumbs up. In honor of Ashanti, I'm gonna do the happy dance. If you loved it, if you really liked it, then definitely hit that subscribe button. And just as we always say at the conclusion of all of our videos, and I say our because this is all of our channels. This is our community, our closing thoughts and our closing quote that we have on all of our videos. Because again, our community, you and me, we're friends. In conclusion, I want to leave you with some wonderful words from Fannie Lou Hamer, who was an amazing civil rights activist and women's rights activist as well. Nobody's free until everybody's free. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to talk to you all next time.